So right from the get-go, I taught therapeutic yoga, which is always looking at the individual student as they show up that day, but with a much deeper understanding of what to do to help them. Sleep positions, how to sit in your car, anything that has to do with their daily life, we really try to help teach them more functional ways to move. So I think that's another important piece of how yoga, which actually as a system is a way to live.
We want to, as a community, really make it easier for people to see the benefit of a holistic lifestyle. What it means to move holistically at a yoga studio, what it means to receive body work, and why that can be so valuable in your body's ability to heal naturally. All right, welcome back, everybody. We are thrilled to be here. This is Ryan Diener with Holistic Health Associates and our video podcast on collaborating with high-quality healthcare professionals in the Frederick and Maryland area. And I'm so excited to have the opportunity to talk with Carla McAdams today. Carla is the founder and principal instructor at Mountain Spirit Yoga, which she started in 2007. She's been teaching yoga and yoga therapy since 2000 and became certified in yoga therapy as soon as it was actually possible, which was around 2018, but has been working with people in that capacity for over 20 years. And it's just a wonderful opportunity to talk to you, Carla, and somebody who has so much experience the way that you do working with people in a therapeutic sense. So I would love to have the chance for our listeners and viewers to get to know you a little bit, and just tell us a little bit about your story around how you started with Mountain Spirit Yoga, and what does therapeutic yoga mean to you? How is that different?
Great. Thank you so much, Ryan, for having me here with you. I'm thrilled to be able to talk to you and share with all of our listening audience some of the benefits of therapeutic yoga and how we can all work together for everyone's greater health and well-being. So my story is I have practiced yoga for most of my life. And when I finally went to get certified to teach yoga back in 1999, I was also an aerobics instructor, and I had a severely wrenched knee. So here I arrive at Kripalu for a 28-day straight program, and I can't walk. Mm-hmm. So I spent the first 3 of those 4 weeks sitting in a chair, inventing chair yoga, because it didn't really exist in those days. And so right from the very beginning, yoga for me, learning to teach it had to do with modifications and had to do with learning what was the essence of whatever we were offering. If you were teaching a specific posture, what was the essence of it? And how could I, with a wrenched knee, express that essence, but it would look and feel maybe a little differently than how I was being trained to teach it. So I am grateful for the fact that I went with that wrenched knee, because it taught me so much, and it put me right on the track towards therapeutic yoga. So then lo and behold, I graduate and I go out to teach my first classes, and I'm ready, and I know the postures, I know how to teach them. And I look out at the people in the class and I'm like, they can't do it. They can't do it the way I learned to teach it, because, well, this person has a back issue, or this person just sprained their ankle, or this person can't bend over because they have glaucoma, whatever it is. Because they presented themselves as who they were, right? Not as models, which is what we often see on videos, is you see models who could do anything. And so right away, I had to figure out in their bodies what was the essence of what I was teaching, and how could I help them understand it and express it through their own body. So I'm running around going, okay, let me figure out, okay, so I'm going to pretend I'm you, and I'm all bent over and I'm all twisted up, but really trying to understand what their body was like, and then taught them what was the best way to modify things. So that was pretty rough and ready, and it landed me in a lot of injuries, because I was taking on their maladies, their dysfunctions, their asymmetries, without clearing them out of myself. So I started to go into coursework on, okay, so let's learn a little bit more about back care. Let's learn a little bit more about arthritis. Let's learn about MS. So I wouldn't have to literally put myself into their body or life experience to figure out how to best teach them. So right from the get-go, I taught therapeutic yoga, which is always looking at the individual student as they show up that day, but with a much deeper understanding of what to do to help them. So, I mean, in all yoga, we're taught however they show up is how you teach them. But if you don't know what to do, if they've got a bulging disc in their low back, it's not necessarily going to be a great experience for them.
Yeah, exactly. No, that makes total sense. And so it's an interesting parallel that you drew because of just who happened to be coming into your studio. I think there's a lot of places where they just teach based on their experience, and then that creates a demographic, But what you did was the opposite, which is more of a healer's mentality, which is the way that we think as well, which is to actually think, who are these people? And let me see what I can do to help myself become a better teacher, advisor, caretaker for the people that actually are showing up. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And then what happens is how you practice is who you attract. Mm-hmm. So then I started attracting more people to my classes who had various conditions because the word was out that I had an idea of how to help them.
Yeah.
And so from that, initially I became a back care specialist. That was sort of my entry into the more formal world of yoga therapy. And I took extensive training on yoga for back care and specifically for scoliosis. And had another funny, not so funny moment when I was in this training, and the lead trainer, who's one of the worldwide authorities on yoga for scoliosis, is going down through every person and reading their spines. And she's like, oh, so this hip is high and this is the rotation and this is shoulder. You have this curve for scoliosis. And I turned around and I went, what? I don't have scoliosis. What are you talking about? She's like, yeah, you really do. Mm-hmm. So then I got to dive in a whole nother way authentically through my body where I could understand, oh, well, that's why, all these things had always happened. Likewise, my head always off to one side kind of thing. And so as a teacher, there's always that point of humility too, where you learn that a deeper understanding because maybe you didn't understand it so well as you thought you did. Mm-hmm. And you learn that you too are vulnerable or you too have this same experience. And that allows you to be a more authentic teacher as well. Because then you show up the way you are, and I'm showing up with a hip high and rotated and shoulders, askew. And I'm looking out at my students and I'm like, why are their arms always too high in Warrior 2? Because I don't practice with mirrors. I never have. So I'm in the gym lifting one day. I'm like, I'm going to do yoga and see what I look like. And I'm like, oh, that's why their arms are always too high. My arms are always too high because my perception was from my structure.
Right.
So then, that just really deepened that whole drive to understand what their body is experiencing and to move from there.
Yeah, fantastic. And so at this point, it's almost like rather than the yoga class, the way that I think many people picture what happens in a yoga class with, right. You're actually looking at people's structural posture as part of your class, it sounds like.
I am. That's very true. I am very true. So so I teach general population classes too, where there's a mix of ages and, people. And so when they walk in the door, I'm watching how they walk in the door. So I'm watching their gait. I'm watching how they carry their bags, how they lay their mat out, everything that they're doing. But I also go around and I talk to every single person before class. I'm like, so what's going on? And they know now, because they know me, that they'll be like, shoulder, someone else is going, neck, someone else is going, my back is out. Mm-hmm. And so as I'm walking around the class, I'm developing the class. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So after years and years of experience teaching, this is very to say this. I don't plan classes. They plan themselves by whoever walks in the room.
That's amazing. I mean,
So
I think, yeah,
go ahead.
I just think for a student or a practitioner of yoga who is looking for that experience of a class that actually speaks to what they need, that is so rare. And I think what you're describing is a true mastery in the ability to, if you're not planning a class ahead of time, then that means that you are really in real time taking that information in and immediately kind of transforming it into what the actual class needs. Like you said,
Right.
that's a real mastery in the craft. And it's something that I think those people who are watching this, who are interested in yoga, would really benefit from, because you're going to get something more out of that class than just feeling flexible, a little bit of, some stress relief. You're actually going to get someone that is looking at how your body needs to move in that particular hour or however time frame it is, to help move things in the right direction. So that's beautiful.
It's true. It is true. And after teaching for, over 20 years, that keeps me alive and fresh as a teacher. Yeah. Because I'm not teaching a set string of poses. I'm not teaching even, like, I'll take a theme into, so it's springtime. So we're talking about rising energy and breaking out of the sludge of winter and waking up. So I have a general idea. Okay, we're going to do maybe some twists, maybe some hip openers. And then when I read the room and they tell me what's going on, I'm like, okay, we're going to do that on the floor today. And I'll still work with the theme, but we're going to work it in a way that they're going to get something out of it without hurting themselves.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
And that's very much how you must work when you're doing acupuncture or massage or whatnot. They walk in, you have your skill set of how to help them, but you're going to place the needles where they need to go, right?
Yeah, that's why I think it's so interesting the way you're describing it, because as a practitioner of acupuncture, you may be working with someone on a particular challenge, health challenge. Let's just stay with the back theme. Right. They might have a bulging disc, and you may be working with a certain set of points. You might be working with them a couple times a week, but then they come in and it's the beginning of allergy season here in Maryland, and they also dealing with congestion. And so laying face down may be an issue. And they also are dealing with, their body is now trying to fight two things at the same time. It's trying to fight the back instability, and it's also trying to fight the sinuses. I need to know that, because it will change the point selection that we use, and potentially even the herbal supplements that we recommend. And knowing how to manage that in the moment is part of, like you said, it's part of the artistry and the interest from a practitioner standpoint, but it's also part of the care and the kind of benefit as a patient that you can expect when you have someone that can, in the moment, assess and change direction, because that's what's needed today. That's what's needed this week, this season, whatever that might be.
Right. And I think that is sometimes very rare in the healthcare system, that oftentimes people will go to their primary care or to their specialty physicians, and they'll come back and they'll say, I don't think they heard me. I don't think they understood at all really what it was that I wanted. Right. So I'm going to tell you, and you're going to help me. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, out of scope of practice here. I can't help you with a hip replacement, but, let's look at what's in my scope that I can help you with. Definitely. And so I think it's really important that we all work together in that way too, so that, particularly, I had that this morning. People are like, oh, I can't breathe. I'm so congested, Okay, no belly down, no forward bends. Okay. But then I could recommend, hey, have you thought about maybe going to see Ryan at Holistic Health and working through acupuncture, or working through diet, or working through supplements to help you with that, so that, we're addressing all parts of your health here among all of us.
For sure. And I think that that's one of the things that we connect on so well. And that, I know I have always been so passionate about, is that in holistic medicine, for the patient out there, this is a challenging experience. They have to go find a yoga studio, and then find an acupuncturist, and then find a chiropractor, and find a massage therapist. And it's very hard, because we all kind of segment ourselves as opposed to Western medicine, where yes, you have specialists, but you're going to get a recommendation from your primary care to go to the neurologist or to go to the rheumatologist. What we're doing is kind of leaving it up to the community member to go figure that out on their own. And I think that we want to, as a community, really make it easier for people to see the benefit of a holistic lifestyle. What it means to move holistically at a yoga studio, what it means to receive body work, and why that can be so valuable in your body's ability to heal naturally. Why going to a place that offers healthy food and that is the primary source of that grocery store is going to give you a very different direction as to what's normal in your eating when you see other people eating, this or that versus bags of chips and things of that nature. It changes the way that you live by putting yourself into that kind of a community. And I think you and I, we connect in that way because those are the things that we have learned over the years just by being in this world with each other. And I think the easier we can make it for people, the better. I think that's just
absolutely.
It's gonna, healthcare is it's the thing that we spend the most money on in this country. It's the thing that we have one of the lower efficacy rates on. And I think that we have a really valuable thing to share with people, a really valuable solution for people. And so, there may be seniors that look at a yoga class and go, oh, that's just way too, intense. Sure. Knowing that you are part of one of the people that developed chair yoga. I mean, chair yoga you see in assisted living centers now, you see it in hospital settings, and you see it in rehab clinics, and you do it every day in your clinic, correct?
I do. Mm-hmm. I do. We have 3 classes a week for chair yoga, working on a lot of functional strength and balance movement. So, it's a prime concern to me that when they walk out of the class, they feel stronger, more confident, more uplifted, more centered, and able to go do daily tasks more easily. Right. So we do a lot of functional movement. And whenever I'm teaching yoga to general population, but particularly to chair yoga population, I will say, okay, when you're doing this, this is the position that you could correctly take the dishes out of your dishwasher, because that's a real back problem. Vacuuming can be death to the spine, so we talk about it. And what could you do more easily? It's gardening season. Oh my goodness. I have so many people coming in with all kinds of conditions. Like, okay, let's talk about that, because I've told you a million times, if you bend over, rotate, and lift something heavy, you might as well just go right to the chiropractor because your back's going to go out. Mm-hmm. So we talk a lot about functional movement. We talk a lot about diet, about sleep positions, how to sit in your car, anything that has to do with their daily life. We really try to help teach them more functional ways to move. So I think that's another important piece of how yoga, which actually as a system is a way to live. Yeah. Right. I mean, that is yoga to join together. It's really a holistic whole life thing. And movement is only one small part of it. So it's really important, I think, that we do educate people about, okay, yeah, this is a yoga class. This is an hour and 15 minutes out of your life. But what you are learning here, I want you to go and apply to your everyday life, because that's where it counts. Sure. And I'll teach them one of the basic principles of yoga is awareness. And you have to be aware that you're hurting, or aware that your posture is whatever, or aware that you don't feel good, or aware that you're not digesting something well, so that you can make a change. Mm-hmm. And so you have to begin with that. And that is absolutely a whole life practice.
Yeah, no question. No question. And so in that philosophy of kind of this being a whole life practice, that is part of where looking at it at different stages in life all becomes relevant. You don't outgrow yoga. You don't outgrow acupuncture. You don't outgrow healthy food and supplementation and things that can benefit your body, because it's all about enhancing your body's ability to heal naturally so that your health never limits your life. That's one of our kind of like
Right.
key
Right.
phrases. And this is exactly what you're pointing to. How do we help you so that your health is not limiting your life? And so what does that mean for people? Like what age group, what's the oldest person that you work with, and how many people fall into that category?
Okay, so currently my oldest student is 86.
Mm,
And I have a few people who are in their 80s, but primarily the bulk of the people I work with are in their 70s.
hmm
Some of them, now this is very interesting too, some of them have been with me since they were in their 50s.
mm,
And so we've all sort of aged together. And because of that, their practice has changed. I also have people like we got a new student a couple months ago. He's turning 80 this week, and he comes in 3 days a week. He goes to the gym 3 days a week. He walks 4 miles a day. He's just a model for, I want to be you when I'm 80,
uh-huh,
because he's really taking care of himself.
uh-huh.
So our population, pretty much is 40 to 85,
Yeah.
but the majority of them, I would say, were in their 60s and 70s
Yeah.
right now. And some of them come to me in their late 70s, and they're like, I've never done this. I don't know what it is, but I heard, and I heard that you could maybe do something to help me.
Yeah.
And so we do. We have a therapeutic class of yoga just for older men who have all full range of therapeutic conditions that they're working with. I'm getting ready to again start a class of yoga for scoliosis, doing some specific work around that. In the past, we've done special classes for osteoporosis, for arthritis, for back care, as I said. And I have someone who's working with me who's really very interested in eating disorders. So that's sort of in the works
Yeah.
coming up in the next several months. We hope to do some work around there.
It's fantastic to hear that, you're so tailored in the way that you're approaching this, that there are classes for specifically seniors that probably focus more on balance and, like you said, daily activity movements. There are classes for scoliosis specifically as an area of expertise for you. And, being able to manage people's posture and balance, even if you're not technically reversing scoliosis.
Right, absolutely. So posture is my passion. I just love working with posture. I get really excited because postural alignment, when the body is in its optimal alignment, that means that everything is working better in your body. Blood's flowing easier, nerve conduction is happening more regularly, your digestion is better, you can breathe better, all different things can happen. And it has an effect on your mental outlook as well as your emotional. And so to me, posture is a really underlying problem in Western cultures, and it's something that is going to really affect the healthcare system down the road. So there's already studies that are showing that they have labeled text neck as a syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And I read that 95% of the Western world, technological oriented world, is afflicted with text neck syndrome. And that is really going to affect healthcare in the future. Mm-hmm. So this is one of the reasons I'm really passionate about posture. But then, it also, when you think of alignment, so there's the physical alignment of the body, and then the physiological availability of greater health and well-being because of that postural bony alignment being correct. But when I watch my class walk out with greater confidence, with their shoulders up, with their head high, with them looking forward, not at the ground because they're afraid of stumbling and falling, that is alignment with hope. That's alignment with forward thinking. That's alignment with, yes, I can move out into the world and still do what I want to do. Yeah. So they can follow their passions. Yeah. And that to me is so inspiring.
For sure. And this is, when people talk, I think there's a little bit of a cliche in the holistic medicine world, and that talks about the body, mind, spirit medicine, but what you're describing is the manifestation of that in real time. The ability for someone to physically move and work on their posture, and then to see that has a direct correlate to their confidence, which is their
Sure.
mind, and in some cases their spirit, their soul, their ability
Sure.
to actually say to themselves, hey, I can age gracefully and with vitality and with more energy and with more, activity. I don't have to kind of go the way that my grandparents or great grandparents went, which is to kind of use age almost as an excuse for doing less. How exciting to think about, people like yourself that are out there helping us as we age and as we become more into our senior years to actually live in a way that's in more accordance with, joy and vitality. So this is just so fantastic to hear and to talk about. And I would just love for people to know how to find you and kind of what the easiest way is to get to work with you.
Well, thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate that. So, Mountain Spirit Yoga is in downtown historic Middletown. I'm in the same building with the Main Cup restaurant, and that really is the best way to find me, because most people are like, yeah, I know where the Main Cup is. Well, I'm in the back of that building. You can also visit the website, which is mountainspirityoga.com, to see our schedule and our offerings. You can contact me directly at any of the contact information on that website. And I would love to be able to help you, whether it's through private yoga therapy or private classes or through general population classes there at the studio.
Fantastic. Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody out there who took the time to listen to this in its entirety. I think there was a ton of important nuggets in here about, how to age gracefully and to do it with a lot of joie de vivre, as they say. So thank you again for your time, and look forward to chatting again soon.
Thank you so much, Ryan. It's been a delight. I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
See you soon. Bye-bye.